Hello everyone, and welcome back to a special edition of DevDash here on Intergalactic Learn with the Nerds Day. My name is Amelia Roberts, and I am going to be your hostess with the mostest here on our special edition DevDash. Now, today is going to be a little different than it has been in the past because instead of making my contestants go head to head where they can see how each other is doing, I am going to have them come in at different times and compete for time. So what our contestants are going to be doing today is they are going to be building something that they have done 100 times, and we are going to see who can do it in the least amount of time with the most style. Our contestants today are going to be Angelica, a Power BI trainer, and Allison, another Power BI trainer. I'm gonna put them head to head and see who can build our example of what we call failed banks the fastest. Here are the stipulations in which the failed banks example has. We are going to go through the entire Power BI report building process, starting with bringing in a live data set. The contestants are then going to remove some columns and add a column by example. They are then going to go into the Power BI desktop. They are going to use DAX to create a date table. They will then build a hierarchy. They will check their data model for relationships and also create at least one measure. From there, they are going to build 5 different visuals. 4 of those visuals are already built into Power BI, but the 5th one is a custom visual that they are going to have to go get. After that, they need to use the Q&A function to create a map, and then they need to also create a custom tooltip that includes a map and a card visual. Once they have all of that, it is on to making it stylish. Yes, and they must use a theme that involves space. So they need to use an intergalactic theme. That is the fun part of our DevDash this time and the secret ingredient of our DevDash. Once they finish this entire report, publish it to the service, and that report shows up on powerbi.com. That is when time will end for our contestants. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm gonna bring one in, have them build the entire report, then bring the other one in, have them build the entire report. We're gonna see who can do it the fastest, and I'll be back here soon to tell you who the winner is. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna go get my data. Gotta go find my browser. Data.gov. Alright, FDIC failed banks. First one since October 1st of 2000. We're gonna right click on the download button and copy it so it's always gonna stay live. We're gonna come over to Power BI Desktop. We're gonna use our web connector. Whenever it pops up, paste that in. You wanna point to the CSV. And then we're gonna hit transform data because we want to take it to Power Query. Ooh, refresh my data. Philadelphia is our last bank. Okay, so I'm going to rename this to failed banks. I am going to get rid of the columns that I do not need. So I don't need cert, I don't need acquiring institution, I don't need fund, and we're gonna hit okay. So we're gonna have 4 columns left. I'm gonna go over to my add column ribbon, go to column from examples to make a city state column with Philadelphia, which fun fact, I grew up outside of Philadelphia. Okay, and then city state, I will argue Philly sports are the best. Okay, we're gonna hit okay. Magic, perfect, named it, good, yes. Okay, close and apply, take it onto the desktop. Wait for it to load on up. I think it was the fastest data cleansing of my life. My name is Allison Gonzalez. I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I mainly work with Power BI here. I have to do a little bit with Excel, some Teams, some SharePoint, some Power Apps, but mainly I stay in the Power BI world. I've been here at the company for 2.5 years.
All right, so let's go get our data. We are going out to data.gov. And we're going to pull in some data from the web. And so we're going to look up some information here on failed banks that have been reported to the FDIC. Here is the link that we want. So our data is stored as a CSV file, but we are going to connect to it live. So we're going to right click the download button and select copy link. We are done here now. We're ready to go back to the Power BI desktop. Here we're going to select our Get Data button, and although our data is stored as a CSV, we are going to connect through the web using that link. So we'll select the web connector and we will paste that in. Now when we click OK, there's going to be another screen that appears. And this screen is our authentication screen. You're going to see this when you're connecting to data that is connected through the web. If it requires any sort of credentials like your Windows, organizational credentials, anything like that, a web API key. We're just going to leave it at anonymous since we're connecting to some public data from the web. Here we've got a preview of our data, and we aren't going to load it because we've got to clean it up a bit. So we're going to hit Transform Data. And we're going to bring this into the Power Query Editor. All right, so best practice always when you're getting started, go ahead, rename your query. Our query was named Bank List, but it's really a list of failed banks, so I'm going to rename it to Failed Banks. Now, another good best practice that you want to make sure you take care of when you are bringing your data in is you want to get rid of any unnecessary columns and rows. We currently have 7 columns, 569 rows, which is not a very large data set by any means, but I know there's some data here that I'm not going to use, and so I want to get rid of those. Now you can right click and delete, you can select the column and delete, but when you are working with much larger data sets, it's a good practice to go up here and select the Choose Columns button. This will open a new window that allows us to go in and remove the columns we don't want and leaving the ones that we want checked off. So I'll keep those checked off, those 4, bank name, city, state, and closing date. We're going to use those here in just a little bit. So I'll go ahead and click OK. All right, so now we went from 7 rows to 4. So I have my bank name column, my city, my state, and closing date. Now, as I look at this, I can tell that there might be some confusion with where some of these banks are located because we have some common city names. So I want to go through and I want to add another column that is going to be a combination of this city-state a merged column. Now, there's a few ways that we can do this, but I'm going to go up to my Add Column tab, and I'm going to leverage the Column from Examples feature. So Column from Examples is super, super awesome. It's an AI feature in Power BI, Power Query, that's going to allow us to double click into this first row here and type in our sample value, exactly how we want it to appear in this new column. So I'm going to reference the first row, Philadelphia, PA here, and double check that I have it spelled correctly here. Spelling is important. Let's hit enter. And there we go. We have that new column from examples created. You can tell it's working because it is renamed the column after the transformation, and we can see that's called merged here. So I'm going to rename this column here because I do want this named other than merge. Merge isn't a very descriptive example. I'm going to call this my city, state column. Click out of here. Now I did rename it here within this step so that it's not going to be something I have to do later on, adding another unnecessary step to my applied steps list over here on the right. All right, so we've cleaned up our data here, just a little baby data set, and we're ready now to bring this back into the Power BI desktop here. So I'm going to hit close and apply the top part of this button to close the Power Query Editor and apply all of those transformation steps that I've stacked up to all rows of data. In this example, it was already applied to all rows since we have such a small data set, but if our data set was larger than 1,000 rows, I would then apply it to the rest of those rows in our data.
Hi, my name is Angelica Choo Quan, and I'm a trainer here at Pragmatic Works. Prior to joining Pragmatic Works, though, I was a high school science teacher. So my background is in teaching science, specifically biology. And so I did that for almost 10 years before deciding to make a professional switch and join kind of the tech training industry. And so now I work here at Pragmatic Works, training mostly on Power BI, but also some Excel and other technologies as well within the Microsoft tools.
So we're gonna go new table. And then let's make this bigger. This is gonna be the date table. We're gonna use calendar auto to automatically do that. Boom, so we get one column with all of our dates from the very first date of the failed bank, January 1st to the last date. Let's build this date table out because this is too small. One column. This will be my year column, and we're going to use the year function. And we always want to pull from the date column on our date table. If you reference the table first, it's going to help your IntelliSense work a little bit faster, and that's always beneficial. We have a year column. We are also going to add another column for the month. This is going to be actually the month number column, if I can spell. We're going to use the month function. Again, date table, date column. Why did I name it date table and not just date? I'm going to edit that because I don't like that. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Date, year, month, number. All right, I'm gonna do another new column. This one's gonna be the month name column. I'm just gonna call it month, and I'm gonna use the format function because that allows you to take a number and just make it text essentially. So again, we're gonna say go look at the date column on the date table. The format I want it to be in is MMMM. You can look at the Microsoft documentation to see all of the awesome formats. Okay, my table's good. I got my date column, I got my year column, my month number, and my month. So there are 3 ways you can make a date table mainly. You can bring in a date table from your source. So a lot of our large organizations will have a pre-made date table like catered to your organization that has your holidays marked, your work days, lots of really cool features. But you might not have that or have access to that. So then you can make a date table. You can make a date table in Power Query. Making it in Power Query is better for your data model. Like it takes up less space, it's more efficient. You can make all of the same things in a date table in Power Query as well as in DAX, which is the option that we went with here. I made a quick one using DAX and I used Calendar Auto to automatically go out and find those dates. If I used the calendar function, I would have needed to figure out what's the first date? What day do I want to put as the first day? And then find, all right, what's the last day and make that. So that's really the difference. The downside of using Calendar Auto is that if you have like a lot of really old dates, maybe you have a customer column in there with their birthdays and you have people who are born in the 40s, your date table would then start all the way back then, which would be 1, useless, and 2, would just take up a lot of space. So calendar instead of Calendar Auto can be helpful in that situations. But if you're in a pinch or just trying to rush and win a competition, Calendar Auto is a good one to use.
We're going to create a few more columns here now actually to round out this date table a little bit. It's going to be a simple date table, and for this we are going to go to the ribbon and select New Column. Now the first new column I want to create is going to parse out my year from this full date. So we're going to go ahead and call this our year column, and for this we are going to pull in that year function. Now year is going to return the date, the year as a date as a 4-digit integer. So we are going to reference the date column. You can see we need to pass a date through here. When you're referencing your columns, you do want to hit select that square bracket, it's going to help return a designated list in the IntelliSense dropdown for you, and not all of the functions that also have date in the name. So we have year. Let's go ahead and add 2 more columns. I'm also going to go in here and add in a month number column. And I'm going to make this column similarly to how I created that year column. I'm going to reference the month function, and I'm going to pass the date column through it again. Now, if I reference the date column without that square bracket, you'll notice we get all of these other functions. Typing out a square bracket is going to return just a list of your column names. So date column again, closing parentheses, there we go. We're going to create one more column here now, and this is going to be another month column, but we're going to create this a little bit differently. So I'm going to call this one month, and this is actually going to be a full month name column. To create this column, we are going to leverage the use of a function known as format. Now, format is going to convert a value to text in the specified format that we're going to indicate here inside of our DAX expression. So our value, this blue text here that it's referring to, the first part, is going to be our date. That's what we want to format. So square bracket, tab to select the date column, and now after I type the comma, it shifts over to the format, how we want to format this. So there's a few ways that you can use this, and to get the full month name, we want to type out 4-letter M's. If we typed out 3-letter M's, that would give us the month abbreviation. 2-letter M's, the 2-digit month. You get the idea here. All right, so our date table is done here, and we can now use this in our model to slice by the year. Previously, we wouldn't be able to do that exactly the same, but now we can use this year column in our model. We have a month number and the full month name, and we'll talk about this month number column in just a little bit. All right, now back to our report view. What we want to do here now is let's start creating some visualizations here. So I would like to see a visualization that is going to show me the number of failed banks by state. So I'm going to bring in the bank name column into my x-axis and state here into the y. And so now we get this nice stacked bar chart, super clean, super simple and neat, showing us the total number of failed banks by state, and we can see Georgia and Florida, Illinois, California leading the pack here, unfortunately. All right, let's create one more visualization here. I'm going to bring in a column chart. So I'm going to grab that stacked column chart here now. On my stacked column chart, I'm going to bring in the, I'm also going to bring in the bank name, and I'm going to bring in the month into the x-axis and bank name into the y. Now, in building this visualization, I can see right away that we're not getting the results that we expected. You can see that the months are occurring, being displayed here in a weird order, and the order is that they're being displayed alphabetically, sorting on the month. We can also see that the values are exactly the same. And there's a reason for this, and those of you working with Power BI or working with your data model know what's happening here. But if there is not a relationship between the two tables that we are pulling our data from, this is the result we're going to see. The values will be the same, and really the values are equal to the total number of rows on the failed bank table. So we need to fix this by creating a relationship, and we can go ahead and do that over in our model view.
Date hierarchy is off, so we're good there. I do want to make a hierarchy though, and I'm going to make a hierarchy. A hierarchy is just a grouping of your data, large to small. So I'm going to make a hierarchy for the state, the city, and we can even go down to the bank too. So we'll do state, city, bank. So hierarchy, you start on your largest. We're going to go right click on state and go to create hierarchy. And then we're going to rename this to, I'm just going to call it geo. And then we're going to add city, and we're going to add the bank, And then we want to make a relationship between the two. So with data modeling, all you need to do is find what is the same so they can talk to each other. On our failed banks, the closing date, it has the same content that is on the content of the date table. I don't like this. This is a new update. I don't like that popped up. Failed banks, date to date. It's a one-to-many relationship. Bunch of random dates on failed banks, one date on our date table. Single filter direction, always ideal. Great. I'm gonna see if I can turn that feature off somewhere.
So from the model view, we can go here and create a relationship between our failed banks table and our calendar table based on the commonality between the two. So between these two, I can tell that closing date and date are going to be what we use to create that relationship. So I'm going to drag closing date and drop it on top of the date column on my calendar table. This relationship editor window appears and it allows you just to confirm the properties, the columns that you're using to create the relationship on, that you're mapping, the columns you're mapping to, as well as the cardinality, which is many to one, cross filter direction is single, and of course it's our active relationship. So this looks perfect, so I'm gonna click save. And now when we go back to our report view, we should see some improvement. Awesome. So I can now see that it is sorting the data here in descending order by the bank name. So we still need to fix the sorting issue, and so there's two places we have to apply sorting. Sorting correctly on the visual is going to allow us to sort this by month instead of the bank name. So I'm going to select month. I'm going to go back in again and select in ascending order. So it's sorted alphabetically again because there's still one more thing we have to do. Now, Power BI knows to only sort a text column in one way, alphabetically in ascending or descending order. And so right now it is sorting the month data just like that. We need to go in and tell Power BI, hey, instead sort this month data by another column. We're going to leverage the month number. The way that you do this is you go to your data pane and select the column that you want to change the sorting of for. I'm going to select the month column, and you'll see my column tools open up in the ribbon at the top, and the sort by column feature is just below. You can see by default, Power BI will always sort a column on itself. We want to switch that to month number. Now that we've switched that to month number, we can clearly see there is a trend. It looks like these banks are, there are more banks that are being reported to the FDIC and being closed at the very beginning of every single quarter. So that's interesting.
We did our Power Query, we did our DAX, we did our data modeling. Now we're going to do visuals. Okay, so I'm going to do a stacked bar chart. And I'm going to put in the, you know what, measure. I'm going to write a measure. I need a count of my failed banks. So we're going to make a new measure on our failed banks table.
So I'm going to create a measure here now that's going to calculate the total number of failed banks. And we can use this in any of our visuals to help reduce the size. So if we use a column that's a few thousand rows, it's going to take up more space and therefore can be slower in terms of refreshing and loading the data in the visual. If we use a calculation like a simple DAX measure instead, this is going to be a lot faster in terms of loading. So I'm going to use the count rows function here, and I'm going to pass through this a table. So count rows is a table operation that's going to count the number of rows in a table. For this, we want to reference our failed banks table. Just like we use a single square bracket to reference our columns, a single apostrophe, a single quotation will reference our tables. I'm going to pull in that failed banks table here now, and you'll see that it did create my measure and put it on my calendar table. That's because I did not select a table, so it put it up there. I'm going to change it to my failed banks table. Another good practice is to create a separate measures table, but we'll save that for another one. So I want to validate that my measure is showing the correct values, and I can see that here as I cross-reference with my bar chart.
Okay, so we have total banks by state. I also want to have a matrix. What do I want to put in my matrix? I'm going to put my hierarchy that I made. I'm going to use my total banks measure so I can see the amount of banks that failed in each of the states. And I can open that up and dive right on in, right? Cool. Cool. So I've got those two. Then we can also put a card that has the total banks so I can see a count of that. Sure. Let's go get a custom visual. We're going to go get more visuals. Search for the play axis. It helps if I can spell. Oh my gosh. There it is. Okay. Load faster. Okay, we're going to add that in. Love it. Great. And then this is going to be year. Okay. Background. So this is going to be a little bit extra, but we want to make it space themed. So I am going to go stack space image. Okay, so file, we'll save this as our background, space background. I'm gonna save it to my desktop so I can find it. And it needs to be, I'm gonna save it as a PNG. Just this one. Okay. Okay, we're doing good. All right, I'm gonna upload this to my Canvas background. Need to clean off my desktop. All right, cool. Okay, so we've got that. Let's make sure all this is working. Ooh, I know what I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting a visual. I need the column chart, and I need to have the total banks by the month, and then I need to change my sort by column of my month to my month number. Yes, okay, cool. All right, we got it. We got it. All right, let's rearrange this joyous background. Okay, you're gonna live here. You are going to live over here. Like, lost the ability to click on stuff. Okay, this is going to go up here. This is going to go over here. It's unnecessarily large for a card, but it fits.
I would like to be able to see, when I hover over this bar chart, I want to see a custom tooltip. So the box that you see floating here is a tooltip, but it's the default tooltip, which is essentially just a text box displaying the information. We are able to go in and create a custom report page tooltip that can show us information in a more appealing and visually appealing and aesthetic, proving the overall aesthetic, and really give your report a next level feel. So to create that report page tooltip, I'm going to add a new page down here at the bottom, and I can rename this page here to my report summary page, and I can call this one my tooltip page. And when we create a tooltip page, this is a page that is meant to be hidden because we don't want to navigate to it when we are just using the report. So we want to hide this. We don't want our users just to be able to head here. Now, we are going to change this page, format this page as a tooltip. So I'm going to go to the page formatting settings, and in page information, I'm going to flip allow use as a tooltip on. It's going to shrink the size of this page down significantly, and that's going to be the size of our tooltip. I'm going to hit the fit to page button in the bottom right-hand corner to make it easier to view and to build out my tooltip. So Two things I want to see in this tooltip are going to be a map. I would like when I hover over each state to see that state specifically in the cities where those banks failed. I would also like to have that count. I want that count. So we're going to add a card visual too. So back here on the tooltip page in the visualizations pane, I'm going to bring in the card visual first. And I'm going to resize this slightly here, and then I'm going to drag it over to the right. Let's make it about that size. Should be perfect. And then I'm going to drop my total banks measure in. Now you'll notice that the default size of your callout value is going to be about 45. We can go into the format settings and modify that. I'm going to change this to about 25. We might even possibly make that a bit smaller later on, but I'm going to go with that for right now. The category label, we could also change the size of that too, since it's there to be a little bit more even with that. All right, let's go ahead and add in our map visual now. And I want to add to this that city-state information. So I'm going to grab city-state from my failed banks table and drop that in. Now, two things. I want to toggle off the title to give me a little bit more real estate, so I'm going to go in and toggle that off. And the other thing I want to do is determine why I'm only seeing a single data point on the map when I know there are 569 failed banks in the US. So when you are working with map data or geography data on a map, you want to make sure that Power BI understands how to populate the data in that visual. And so sometimes with certain information like URLs, like location fields, you need to update the data category. So to do this, similarly to how we updated our sorting of our month column, we're going to select the city-state column to open up the column tools ribbon at the top. Then you'll notice in the center here, the data category is set to uncategorized. I want to go ahead and change that to place. You can see the other options here, and there's city, county, state. We can't use just city because it's not just city data. It's also not just state data, it's state abbreviation. So place is going to be the best option here. And when we add that in, now we will see this looks much better. Now, one final thing we want to do is we want to click into the report canvas so we get the report page settings again. And we want to add the tooltip field here that's going to connect our tooltip to this visual, and specifically the state data when we're hovering over a state data point. So on the tooltip page, I'm going to drag the state column from my failed banks table, not from my hierarchy. And I'm going to drop that in the tooltip filters fields. Now when we go to the report summary, you will see that beautiful tooltip. Awesome.
Customize current theme. I should have picked a dark one to start off with. Save myself time. Ugh. Customize. Okay, we're gonna go with what colors do I want this to be? This is why I shouldn't be extra with stuff like this. Oh no, now I can't even spell again. This is gonna be my downfall, is my spelling. Okay, this is fine, Okay, yellow, blue, red. What am I doing? Fantastic question. I need to get the colors from this. Okay. Okay. Let's figure out the color of this stuff. So I'm gonna use my eyedropper. I'm gonna find this yellow. What is this yellow? Where's my shape fill? There it is. Okay, hold on. More colors. There it is. We've got our yellow. Power BI. That's where I'm going. Okay, look. Oh, look at this color. It's already pretty much the same exact color. Love that. I just did that. I love that I spent so much time on that. Okay. Okay. I'm already committed, so we're doing this. This is what it is. This is what it is. Okay, let's get this blue. I love that this is literally the exact same colors that I'm just doing all this extra stuff for it. Okay, but we gotta be precise. I want my extra points here. Where am I going? Pink. Oh, I'm getting stressed. Oh, that's black. There's an easier way to get here and I can't remember what it is in the moment. I also think I have an eyedropper tool on my Chrome that I could have used instead. It's fine. It's fine. So you know that I'm like just coping because I just will repeat it's fine until I'm all done with this. Eyedropper. Let's get this. No, that's all right. We're done. We're done with this. We're done with this. I think I spent more time on this theme than I did on any other part of this entire thing.
I wanted to be able to see year by year how my data changes, and I'm going to allow it to dynamically do that with the use of this play axis slicer. I'm going to toggle off the year for this visual, the year title as well, since we don't need that on there twice.
For total banks by state, you know what? We're going to format, love. This I don't like, it's black. I'm spending too much time on this, I know this. So I spend far too much time working on my theme, which is per normal for any time I'm working on a report. So it was space themed, so I wanted to make sure I had a space background, so I was able to go quickly search for some free stock. Don't ever steal off the internet, that's not nice. Go find some free stock that allows you to have a usage for whatever you need it for. And I made a quick background. Fun fact, you can make a background in PowerPoint that size matches up almost exactly. So I could easily go resize it exactly to fit the size I needed. So I knew it wouldn't get, blown out really weird, stretched really odd, moving it over to Power BI. You can also, if you're working on a background in PowerPoint, you can change the opacity level, right? I mean, we could put a gradient over. I could do a lot more things to it. I mainly just wanted to get mine sized correctly, which is why I used it in PowerPoint. Then choosing a theme, you of course can go with any of the default themes that are in Power BI. There's a lot of them, but then you can customize those or really just make one from scratch essentially, with just depending on the amount of changes you want to make. Mainly what I want to do is I went to match all of the colors to all of the Intergalactic Learn with the Nerd colors. They were already pretty close to that with the theme I picked as my default, so it wasn't a huge change, but I did change a lot of the tones just so it would make it a little bit more cohesive and look the way that I wanted it to. So changing the background colors and images, changing the colors of like the data bars and the points for there, and then also changed the font because I did not like the font that was chosen, so I had to update that as well.
The next thing that I want to talk about and show is the use of the Q&A visual. And so I'm going to add a new page for this since we have a few things going on here. Or let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and add it right here. So the Q&A visual can be enabled or engaged. You can activate it by double clicking into the background of your report. You can also select it from your visualization pane. You can also go up and find it up here in the Insert tab. Now, what I want to use this Q&A visual for is to make a map. And so we can come in here and we can say, show me the total banks by state. And it might give us a map. It might give us a visual similar to our bar chart over here on the right. And yeah, so we have a bar chart. Let's go ahead and say by state as map. Boom. And this is the result we see here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that to my report. And then now we can see that here, if I go and select one of these, it's going to cross filter. We can also use this here we can change this if we wanted to go back in and change it. We can go in and change it and have it just show our data. Let's use total banks by city-state as map. Let's take a look at that. So we get a similar view to what we had there in our tooltip. I'm going to turn this into a standard visual since I like the result of it, and we'll keep that there, and we can see how that will dynamically update in our reports along with this play axis slicer. So the play axis slicer, you can see one plays through pretty quickly. We can go in and modify the animation settings. I'll slow it down a bit. We can also modify the interactions of some of our visuals by going in and disabling, changing it from highlight to filter so that we get a little bit more information there. You do want to make sure you toggle off edit interactions as well.
The Q&A visual is one of the AI visuals inside of the Power BI desktop. Q&A acts like a sort of search engine that allows you to ask questions about your data using natural language. Sort of questions, sometimes you can enter in more of a statement of what you want to show, like total banks as a map, total banks by state as a map, and then the result will be generated in the form of a visual. And if you like the result, you can turn it into a standard visual that you can keep in your reports. You can also train Q&A by going in and adding additional synonyms, modifying some of the synonyms that are attached or that are connecting to and matching to some of the data within your reports, like the different fields, the columns, and measures within your data model.
I'm going to have, this is going to be my report page. Report. I'm also going to do Q&A. I should copy that page so I get my background. I could have just uploaded it in the email at the time that I talked. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Q&A. Slowest Q&A I've ever seen in my life. All right, we'll just like Q&A. We'll label this Q&A. Not right now. Top failed banks by top failed bank states by total banks as a map. Any day now, if you would like to do that, would be great. Okay, I'm gonna make a tooltip while Q&A is doing whatever it's doing. Tooltip. I want to make this a tooltip. So we're gonna allow use as tooltip. We're gonna name it tooltip. We're going to hide Q&A tooltip. It's a tooltip. I'm going to put a map with the city on it. I'm going to put, I'm going to get rid of the title. There we go. And I'm going to put on a card that is ginormous and has the total banks. And we're gonna make our font small. Great. Okay. Then to actually make this a tooltip, where it's gonna work is gonna be anytime I'm using state. Let's test it. I have state over here, and there's my lovely tooltip. I'm gonna switch that to city-state because my map is all over the place. So let's go back over to our map, get rid of city, and put in city-state. City-state's not geography. It's not gonna work. Data category. I'm all over the place. Place. Because it's a location. That's not specific. Alrighty. Let me actually make sure that works better. Yay. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Anytime you hover over a data point or a data bar on a visual in Power BI, you will have a nice little box that pulls up just the exact information of whatever you're hovering over. Now that's fine, it's sufficient in most situations, but we're in Power BI, right? It's a visualization program. I want to see myself in visuals. I want to look at that instead of having to like digest some numbers. So we can make a custom tooltip and we can really decide what visual.
The next thing that we want to do here is go in and create a report theme. And I've been tasked with the theme of creating, or the challenge of creating a custom theme that is going to use our intergalactic space theme. So I'm going to get a little help from a website known as Coolors, and I'm going to bring that in. And let's see, I'm going to explore some trending palettes here. I'm going to see if there's anything out there that may help. Oh, space, perfect. Let's see what we have here. I kind of like, all right, we'll go with this one here. All right, so I'm going to go into my theme section here now and create a custom theme. So theme color 1, let's go with one of these brighter colors here. So I'm going to go with, actually, I like the purple. Let's bring in that purple here. So I'm going to add that into theme color 1. I have my hex code copied. I'm going to paste that in. Awesome. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to go out to these other ones here, and I'm going to bring them in as well. Get this quickly set up. So I know we are on the clock. We aren't using a ton of these other colors here, so we'll keep going. I think the page background. So page background, I want to set to one of these darker colors here. That's really going to give us that kind of dark mode feel, nice contrast. All right, and I think we'll match the wallpaper here, so we've got a good overall feel. And you know what, let's get that filters pane matched up here. And oh, a font and icon color, we can't forget that. Let's go with this one here. And we'll make this just stand out there. Boom. Okay. Font and icon color, background color, let's make it, we'll try that. Not sure how this is gonna go. Hopefully it's okay. All right, so let's add that same one in there. And boom. Oh, we didn't get it all the way. You know what, I kind of like that color too, but maybe we'll pull that in and see how this looks. Okay, border, header, tooltip page, text. Oh man, almost forgot the text. Okay, cards and KPIs, we need that font color in there too. Okay, we can see that default font size, we'll change that too. Title, font color, let's go ahead, you know what, we'll bring that one in. Hopefully that looks good. All right, I'm gonna hit apply and see what we have here. it's okay. Let's see. Colors. Oh man, we'll go in and pull those in. Oh, perfect. For the intergalactic space custom theme, I used a website known as Coolors to help me come up with the theme colors, the hex codes that I wanted to use. There's a lot of really great trending palettes out there, as you could see in the demonstration, as well as the ability to go in there and generate your own. So it's a really great resource to use to help you come up with the colors that you want to use in your theme if you have some flexibility. Now, mine was very basic and probably not as good as our in-house design expert, who I bet knocked that out of the park with her design theme. But pretty quickly on the spot, it was overall an okay theme, I'd say.
I have a bar chart, I have a column chart, I have a matrix, I have a card, I have my play axis, bar, column, matrix, card, play axis, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, great. I have my date table, I have my hierarchy, I have my measure. Q&A has not made me a map, so total banks by state as a map. Haha! Okay, fantastic. We're gonna make this an actual visual. That's just gonna take up that whole entire page. That was a little bit too zoomed out. Great. Great. I feel like I should publish it, but now I'm like making sure, do I need to do my edit interactions? No? Okay, cool. All right, let's publish then.
So I think this is done. We are good to go. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit publish. I'm gonna save my changes. Click save. And I'm gonna put this up in my workspace. And
let's save and publish. Okay, publish. Yes, we're gonna save it. This is gonna be amazing. Report. Saved my desktop because it's already a mess. And then we're gonna publish to my workspace.
Wow, our contestants did a fantastic job today on DevDash. Congratulations, Allison and Angelica, you really killed it out there. But now I want to hand it over to you all out there watching us live right now. Drop in the comments who you think should win this round of DevDash based on speed and style. Whose theme did you end up liking the most? While we're waiting for you to get your votes in, let's head on over to our contestants and see how their experience on DevDash was.
So I really feel like for this DevDash, I should have put like a workout on my watch because my heart rate was definitely elevated. I was definitely a little stressed trying to get this done. I think this was the fastest I've done any like data cleaning or tax writing. Got a little tripped up in my theme. Just kind of got a little too into that, and I should have just made the background black and gone with it. That might be my downfall. We shall see. I think it looks good and I prefer to present that, but I think that could have cost to be the game, so we'll find out. But it was very fun and hopefully I won, so we shall see.
So the DevDash was really fun, low-key, kind of stressful to try and build out a report very quickly. They're on the clock under a, time constraints. If I had to do it again, I would like to, have a little bit more time to think through the theme a bit. There's a lot that goes into report theme and development and report design, and being able to kind of add in those colors and test out the way they look together is difficult without fully applying the theme. So being able to preview that and see that would be neat too, but having an idea of where you want to go. So a little bit more time on designing the report theme would be what I would like to give to myself next time if we did this again.
And the results are in. Our winner of this Power BI DevDash is Allison. Congratulations, Allison. Make sure if you liked this DevDash today, check out all of our other DevDashes that we have completed here on the Pragmatic Works YouTube. Definitely make sure you share it with your coworkers, either on LinkedIn, you can send it via email, whatever works for you. We love to get the word out on everything we're doing over here at Pragmatic Works and during our DevDash challenges. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next DevDash.